The Poupon family has been in Australia for a few days. They've already seen how recycling is becoming an increasingly important priority on the continent. Today, on farmer John Savona's land, they have an appointment with Jason Ben and Simon Lee, representatives of CETA, a subsidiary of the GDF Suez Group, which specializes in treating and transforming waste matter. Mark grows sugarcane. He was accustomed to using some 500 kilos of chemical fertilizer for every hectare he planted, with disastrous consequences for the environment.
Because it's so close to the ocean and to the rivers, they use so much chemical fertilizer here, and it's so intense, you get these situations where you get algal blooms and so forth.
Recently, instead of the polluting chemical fertilizers, Mark began using organic compost created by CETA.
We take the waste from the community in the refuse from the wheelie bins. We take the organics out, we make it into compost, which we then use to put on the farms to grow the crops and to reduce chemical fertilizer usage.
To understand how the compost is made, we head for the CETA factory.
So this is the Cairns Advanced Resource Recovery Facility, and this is where we take the rubbish from the residents of Cairns. So no more is the waste and the organics and everything that was once upon a time going to the landfill is now going here.
The household waste from the surrounding towns is therefore the raw material for CETA's natural compost. But before it is transformed into compost, part of the rubbish from the bins is set aside.
He's shaking the material, and that way you might be able to see a battery or a gas cylinder, and then he uses the arm like that, and he pushes it out of the way.
This harmful or even dangerous waste matter is stored outside the factory. The rest begins the long compost manufacturing process. The first step, the waste passes through this big tube where the destruction of the waste begins.
What's happened inside the big tube?
These tubes are drum digesters, okay? It slowly rotates and the material moves from there down to there over 2 to 3 days. So as the material slowly gets turned, it starts to break down. And so your paper and cardboard and things like that starts to break down, and your organic material starts to break down.
The mechanical rotation breaks the waste into small pieces, which will be much easier to separate. After passing through the drum, the sieving process can begin. This mechanical sorting involves passing the waste through a sieve with large holes.
It goes through holes that are about that big. And what that allows is all the organic matter to fall through.
By blocking the larger pieces of waste, like bits of plastic or aluminum, this second sorting phase separates only the organic matter. It is then stored in neighboring buildings and begins the long fermentation process.
And the whole time, it's composting and cooking and breaking down. And it's that heat in there that illustrates that it's starting to go from the raw organic material that we throw away in our rubbish bins into compost.
It takes 9 months of fermentation to make the final product.
Nice moisture, it's nice and friable. And the smell is starting to smell like compost.
From the locals' waste, CETA has succeeded in making top-quality compost. Since its creation in 2003, this GDF Suez subsidiary has produced more than 500,000 tons of compost around the country, a unique performance anywhere in the world. Simon Lee is now attempting to convince all the farmers to adopt this ecological solution.
They've been so used to using chemical fertilisers that it takes a while to become comfortable with the product. And once you become comfortable with the product, you realise its true potential, and then the demand starts to increase.
And, I just think you've got such a good product. It works. we get better strikes.
Changing people's mentalities takes time, but thanks to the efforts of companies like CETA, behavior is changing for the better. Mark and Philippe admire the beauty of the now preserved coast and hope that this gesture for the environment will serve as an example for the whole world. But the call of the sea can be felt once more, and for this inveterate mariner, it is hard to resist its appeal any longer. The Poupon family sets sail once again, heading off for new discoveries on the world's seas.